A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional.
Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
Welcome back to our pre-Valentine's Day episode. We got a lot of relationship issues that we're gonna delve into.
Totally. You know, being single, being partnered, it really does, a lot of it has to do with our nervous system. I think that people don't realize there's just a level of safety that I think having a partner brings you that is hard to navigate when you're single. I think a lot of, Valentine's Day can be sticky if you're in a relationship and you have certain expectations, but it can be really sticky if you're not in a relationship too. And something that I have been seeing a lot in my patients is this idea of people being single for longer than they want to be and really trying to wrap their head around, how do I feel good about myself single? How do I feel confident and happy and not clinging or striving for a relationship, and do all this work on being super independent and then establish kind of a self-confidence around that. And then they get into a relationship and it all just sometimes feels much easier. And so they're stuck feeling like, was I lying to myself?
And I think that's true about anything that you're kind of seeking, but you're trying to convince yourself that you're okay and happy without, because you know what I mean? The advice is a little conflicting. The advice is always like, live in the moment and enjoy the life you have. You know, you don't need anyone to be happy, or you don't need anything outside of yourself to be happy, whether that's like a promotion or a baby or a partner or something like that. I don't think you need it to be happy in general, but maybe you could, I think you need it to be, sometimes people need it to be happier. It's like, I think like work towards a goal that does increase your satisfaction.
What I think is it somehow getting those things. And in some ways there are like these existential biggies, right? There's like wanting to not be lonely, wanting to not go through life alone. And a lot of these are like, they come from our evolutionary history. Like being alone was certain death. So wanting a partner, like if you were stuck on a desert island right now, the one thing you would want probably is like one single human to like do it with. So more so than you would want any other thing. So not wanting to be lonely and wanting enough resources, that's like job security kind of thing. Another one that's really hard to be happy without is, or like if you're going through grief, loss, death, dying.
Yeah.
Like what you experienced, wanting to be a mother or father and not being able to have that role, I think is another big one that's like hard to get through without getting the thing you want. It's like in your biology to kind of want to have that role. So when you're stuck in those things, it's like, I think you can be happy, but kind of like having those things, I just think baseline brings your nervous system to a calmer place. And then you can kind of go from there. I think you can be happy, but when those are the things that activate your nervous system, like I'm not okay.
And I think, I was listening to this podcast. I'm not sure if I talked about it on here. They're talking about the difference between happiness and contentment.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is a sort of like a momentary thing. Like I hear a really funny joke and I'm happy, or I'm getting a massage and I'm happy. And those are sort of like fleeting in and out things. But like contentment is sort of where you're striving to be, which is like sort of an overall sense of being like glad with how your life is going.
Yeah.
Which isn't like a burst of extreme, like positive energy, but it's just a sense of like, I think it's what you talk about a little bit in that sense of like not constantly striving.
Yes. And I think that comes from like this general overall feeling of safety. And for some people, coming full circle back to Valentine's Day, like for some people, that is being partnered. It just feels safer to go through life with a partner. So it's hard to create a whole identity around being independent. And then I don't think it means you're lying to yourself. I just think it means you feel safer I don't think it necessarily, like you're saying, I think you feel more content, which in my opinion, I think the content comes from safety, nervous system safety. Like everything's just calmer because you feel a little bit safer, like in your literal, that part of you that says like survival mind. Like if you don't have enough money or you don't have a partner, or you want to be a mom, or you're afraid someone's going to die or someone just died. Those are like some big ones where you can't just feel safe.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you tell people to reconcile those two parts of themselves?
I think admitting it is important. Like, I do think there is a lot of pop psychology that's like, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. Or like, you can't be in a relationship until you are able to be independent on your own. And I think some of that does make people feel like they need to have this like hyper independence that we're not really, our biology has not caught up yet. I would love it if that was the case, right? If we could all just kind of be okay alone. You Up probably wouldn't exist. Like everyone's worked up about relationships.
Well, you have some avoidance too.
Yes.
Like the avoidance have nailed it.
Yes.
Fear of relationships.
Yeah, they do feel like they have more power probably.
Yeah. Which is always funny in those talks about like the attachment styles. It's like the avoidance don't really seem to be suffering. They seem to be like doing okay.
Well, the avoiding makes them safe.
Right.
Everyone's trying to find their safe place, and they've discovered like probably most of those avoidants are really going hard on one of the other things. Like I'm going to be like the best at work, or I'm going to be like the best dad, or, like if they're divorced and they're like, I'm not doing this again. I'm just going to be like a dad or a mom. I'm not going to lean into any other, romantic thing. And that feels really safe. So I think it really is ultimately about safety. So if you're not in a relationship and you don't feel safe, I think, yes, you can do some of the things that we talk about and try to tell yourself, like, I'm okay. I'm not like a cave woman or caveman, like alone in the forest. I'm not. But your body kind of, we're trying to undo so many years of, survival that tell us that that's not okay.
Right.
So I think when if you are in that pool of people where you get into a relationship and then you start thinking, oh my God, was I lying to this whole independent self? Yeah. Like, where is she? I think you can just come back. I think what you said is right. Like you can you have this safety feeling now, but that doesn't mean that you can't seek these moments of happiness independently. The relationship gives you this safety. And yes, you can have moments of happiness within the relationship, but it's probably a lot easier to find more independent moments of happiness once you have that backdrop of safety, of partnership, which is okay. It's also, I think, just giving yourself permission to feel safer with another human is okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like, again, and I think sometimes people do that with anything that it's like a little bit of a projection. If you don't have the thing, you're like, well, it's not so great anyway. And sometimes that helps you get through it a little bit. Even if it's like a little, here's the thing, even if it's a little like not fully true, if it helps you get through that phase, and that's, helps to tell yourself that, or if you're going out more, even though it's not like your favorite thing to do, or you know what I mean? Like, but you're saying I can go on these trips. And I would have that. I remember when I was single, I was like, I'd go on all the trips and I'd, make the best of I wanted a partner very badly, but I remember not letting that like stop me from doing all the other stuff. And like, was it my number one choice? No. But does that mean it wasn't great? No.
Totally. And I do think you hit on something interesting, which is like everything we do is kind of just telling ourselves what we need to hear to be content and happy. Like all of religion is basically like, this makes me feel better, so I'm going to go with it. Or spirituality, even like, this makes me feel something that's better than what I felt when I wasn't leaning into spirituality. So yeah, let's go with that.
Totally.
Any mindset, you look in the mirror, you have a pimple. All right, it's not that bad. No one could really see it. All right. If that gets you out the door,
whatever you need.
We don't know we really don't, like we always talk about, we're on a rock flying through the universe at obscene speeds. Like If you want to tell yourself no one can see your pimple, or if you want to tell yourself like you're really having going to have the best night out and like enjoy being single and flirting with lots of new people, and that makes you feel better in that moment, could be true, could not be true. Better to tell yourself the thing that's going to make you feel better.
I agree. And it's interesting because it's like, there's such a phenomenon with so many different topics. Like you see, I'm now on the like new parent algorithm. And there's so many opinions on like the best way to do shit, right?
We're going to have to talk all about that because you're probably going to be sucked into a bunch of that.
Well, it reminds me of this conversation just because it's like, there's probably a million ways to do things. And the people who are like the influencers and the people who are online making these videos about how this is the best way to do something, or like breastfeeding is the only way, or breastfeeding sucks, I don't need to do it. It's like those people are doing that. That's like their circumstances have allowed them to do. And then they need to justify it by saying it's like the best way.
Yes.
And so that's like half of what their strong belief is. And it kind of reminds me of the single thing. It's like whatever you need to feel like whatever you're doing is okay.
Yes.
It's sort of what it takes like a very, I think, mentally and stable and mature person to be like, I'm doing it this way. There's a million other ways that's also doesn't sell anything. There's a million other ways to do it. Yeah. This way works for me.
Yeah. It reminds me, my guru, Michael Singer, who always like brings me back to center. He's the author of The Untethered Soul. He's like, we know nothing. Everything we think we know is 0.0000000000001% of all the things that are to be known. So if anyone is telling you, this is the way to do this, or this is the way to do
date, or to carry, or to whatever. Yeah.
We don't know anything. Right now, billions of places, not even talking about the rest of the universe, just this earth. There's so many things happening that you are completely unaware of. Little interactions between a mother and a child. And yes, we can do research. And that's why I love someone like Emily Oster, where she's like, okay, we know nothing, but the little tiny bit that I can tell you based on some research is this.
Right.
And she's very like, take it or leave it. Like I like her. She's kind of like very humble in her presentation of like,
yes,
no one knows anything really, but like, if we're going to know something, it's this little nugget and maybe you can go with that. But generally.
And the phrasing that she uses, which is basically like, could a reasonable person make this choice or make a different choice?
Right.
Could a reasonable person hear all this information and decide to do it this way and decide to do it a different way? Yes, both would be reasonable for most things.
Totally.
Not all things.
Yeah. So we really don't tell yourself whatever it is that makes you feel better, then you show up better. It's like manifesting, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in one of the intentions that I have for one of the listeners, but it's almost like, if you just settle in to where you are and do what you need to do to kind of walk through the world present and head held high and not thinking about what you're doing wrong or what you should be doing differently, you're going to manifest in that way what it is that you actually want.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Your words are like spells.
Yes.
As my Reiki healer once said.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into
our episode. If you guys want to leave us a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294. Love getting your voicemails. Love hearing your voices. That really adds another element to, the email, the advice requests that we're getting. So leave us a voicemail, or you can email us if that's more your thing, oversharing@betches.com. You can subscribe to this podcast. You get all the episodes ad-free and a day early, and you get 2 bonus episodes a month, or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups. How do they do that?
Yes, come find us, naomibernstein.com. We have lots of groups. I'm excited for the new year to see what types of challenges I have. So many fun ways to challenge yourself spiritually, emotionally, just to kind of seek the life that you want to live, and do it through everything we're talking about. Do it yourself. You don't need all the external things. You can do the work inside, and the group helps you get there with the support of a really awesome community. So come find us, naomibernstein.com.
All right, let's get into our emails. I'll read our first overshare. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I have a relationship dilemma that I would love to hear your take on. For context, my husband and I got married about 3 weeks ago, but haven't combined finances yet. I bought my house before we met, and we have been living together for about 2 out of 3 years of our relationship, where he sends me some money for our bills. 2 months ago, I accidentally missed a mortgage payment. I don't opt into automatic bill pay, and I was celebrating my bridal shower that weekend, so I think it must have just slipped my mind. I have never done this before and immediately disputed it with my mortgage company to see if they could do anything to remove the late charge. Since then, my mortgage company says they are reviewing my dispute, but unfortunately, my credit score was hit and dropped from high 700s to high 600s. Here's the real dilemma, though. My husband told me this morning, "Your credit is dragging us down," which I found incredibly offensive. We're going to be looking for a new house this next year to help fit our future growing family, so I think credit scores have been on his mind. I immediately responded and told him that's an incredibly rude thing to say, considering how much I do for this relationship financially. I make about 3 times as much as he does by working 3 jobs, all of which I love and am happy to do, have full veteran benefits, give the family military health care, and have told him he can use my GI Bill privileges if he wants to. I do not need it. His last response to me after I told him I was offended was, "I'm sorry, I sent that as a reminder. It was a dick move." My question is, how do I not be resentful long-term towards him by this comment? It seems to me like he doesn't realize how much I do to provide for our relationship finances, security, and stability. I almost just want to tell him to look in the mirror rather than point the blame towards me. He is slowly improving his financial situation, but I come from a hardworking blue-collar family, so I feel like he can do so much more. I don't ever say anything directly about that, but after his comment on my credit, it makes me start analyzing all that we both contribute and how much more I think he should be doing. I would also love to eventually be a stay-at-home mom when we have kids, which he wants as well. But with his current income, we could never do that and wouldn't even be able to afford the life we currently have. Please help me not be resentful and cut him down whilst encouraging him to continue to improve. Sincerely, a boss bitch, but also loving and devoted wife.
Yeah, I could see why she's tweaked by that comment. I think it's bigger than the comment.
Yeah, the comment, I think, is so incredibly rude because of all the other resentments that she's secretly or not so secretly harboring towards him. So the comment is what just kind of sparked the match of something that's already been
bad move, dude. Bad move.
Seriously.
I've seen this happen a lot in couples where someone just, like you said, throws a match on a powder keg without realizing it, which it probably needed to come to light. And I don't think it needs to come to light in a way of an angry, I don't get the feeling from this email that she's upset with him for not contributing as much. I think there's a little bit of that, but I think what she really feels, and I think a lot of couples can do this more often, is I feel like she's proud of herself. I feel like she's obviously been in the military. She's, come out of that. She bought a house on her own. She comes from a blue collar family. I think she feels this sense of pride in how she's handled her stuff financially. And I think sometimes you want your partner to know that and see that and be proud of you too. And kind of, do the opposite of what he did, which is wait for the moment where there's something she's not proud of. And then he's bringing up all of this financial stuff, which is, I could see why it's really bugging her, because I think she probably should say to him, I really feel so proud of everything that I've accomplished up until this point. And it would be really nice to hear that from you. I'm sure he has his own, which is why he made the big mistake of jumping at her one weak point. He probably has his own insecurity. And so now it doesn't feel good to think that your partner's doing this, and maybe he's not doing it on purpose, but he's kind of oh, great. Now I'm not the only problem here.
Yes, he's probably jumped on that as something to be okay, I'm not so bad. She's not perfect either, or something.
There is I see this a lot in my patients, in my groups. Obviously, there's a huge turn towards trending women making more than their partners. A strange dynamic for some people. I think especially some men it's hard. You have to admit it, that they struggle with that.
I mean, especially in this couple where like they both seem to be yearning for a more traditional marriage. She's like, I want to stay home and take care of the kids. He's like, I want that too. So it's like the desire is almost like, it'd be one thing if she was like, she does say she loves her job, but she's like, or her jobs, but there does seem to be she's proud of the non-traditional way that she is like really succeeded financially, but is also wants to be taken care of in that way, which is tough. And I think that is a very like you said, very emblematic of a lot of current male-female dynamics and relationships where women are out earning men very often, but there's still the lingering like societal or, traditional gender views, which make you kind of like live in like this weird in between world. Like I think I've always been financially independent, but I've never been like, oh yeah, I want to pay for the first date. Like I would never want that.
Yeah. So it's like this funky place of women making more money, but then also wanting to be like financially cared for or traditionally protected in that romantic sense of it. And I do think a lot of people almost feel like it's a dirty word to do like stay-at-home dad. Like I think people are really avoidant of that concept, which I think works for a lot of couples now. Like where the woman is out earning the man, there is like a world where that would make a lot of sense, but there's a lot of resistance because again, I think we're not evolving fast enough. Like our biology
The two things are not caught up to each other. Yeah.
Yes. So the idea of a man and a woman being attracted to a man who's like staying home and cleaning and, taking care of the baby and doing all that stuff and her not feeling like a lack of protection or we're at a weird crossroads. And also in this case, to get back to this listener specifically, I think neither one of them are really okay with, that dynamic fully. And I think that's where he gave her that little dig.
This is definitely a conversation that needs to be had. It's tough when you don't talk about it because it seems like they haven't really gotten into it. And so it comes out in this way when both people are kind of like don't want to touch it, but are secretly kind of thinking it often comes out in this way, which doesn't really resolve itself in like and I think of a way that brings out the best in both people.
It's a hard conversation. You're 3 weeks into this marriage, so it's time. You got to have it. And I think it can just be something along the lines of like, this is something I feel really proud of myself for. And I'm feeling like a block in you, like not being able to lean into that or like show appreciation in the right way and asking him like, how do you feel about our fight? Do you feel insecure? Like that is the thing with a lot of couples that I think they don't do soon enough is talk about their like insecurities, big insecurities within the relationship with each other, because that's what's going to make you feel both really, really safe and close and be able to handle these types of things. Like, maybe he is a stay-at-home dad, or how do we work around if that's not an option for you guys? But you can't even get there if he can't say, yeah, I feel insecure that you make more money, that you've provided the house, that you're providing the benefits. I feel whatever, XYZ about that. And for her to say, I love you anyway. I'm here. We're in it together. I don't look at you any less than, and we'll figure it out. But sometimes just saying that and having your partner say, yeah, okay.
Well, that's kind of not how she feels though. She's not like, it doesn't bother me at all.
But I wonder if it wouldn't bother her if he was more like
appreciative of what she does.
You're awesome. Like, thank you so much. You're providing this amazing life. I'm working on these things, but it's nice for me to be able to work on this. knowing that you're handling it in the background, like something like that, I think would make her feel really, I'm not saying she still wants to be a stay-at-home mom. They can figure that out. I'm not trying to convince them to undo their whole plan for life, but I do think that her being able to say, or him being able to say, actually, like, you are providing such a nice, safe backdrop for me to now figure out how to take the more of the lead financially so that you can stay home. And I appreciate that versus like, I'm going to find the one time that you messed up and then throw it in your face to make myself feel better, which is like the opposite of intimacy.
So have that conversation. Try to be open-minded and not be offended, I think, on both ends.
And ask him, like, I could understand, I imagine as a man, maybe this makes you feel a certain way. And I'm here. I want to hear how you're feeling. I think it'll feel nice for him to be able to say out loud that he feels insecure about it so that he doesn't have to make that little dig. And also maybe can add on with like, I appreciate you. And maybe I don't say it enough because I'm insecure about it.
And then if you have these financial goals and they're a goal for both of you, I think it's also a practical question of like, how are we going to get to this spot? They're married. They're thinking about moving to a bigger house. Like, if that's something you both really want, and maybe it's not something you both really want, it's possible. That's a good thing to like check in on.
Totally.
I think it's like reevaluate the goals. And if you both want it, then I think there's like the emotional connection question about like, how do we feel and what are we, anxious or resentful or insecure about? And then like, what are our goals? Are they still the same? If they're still the same, how do we get there? Or do we need to change the goal?
Love it.
Good luck.
Check in often.
Yeah. Let's do a Betches. You want to read this one?
Sure, I'll read this. Hello, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I love your show. I look forward to every listen. I recently had a problem arise with my boyfriend of a little over 6 months, and I need to get some expert advice. My boyfriend just turned 40. I'm about to turn 30 in the new year. We've been dating for 6 months, but our relationship has been smooth sailing and slowly maturing and progressing since the start. He is divorced with a young child, so we have been very cautious and respectful of his child. My boyfriend has been a great boyfriend. He's truly a gentleman and loves me a lot. He's never given me any reason to doubt his actions. He's respectful to me and my family, shows up, does activities with me that I love, and is a great part of my life. Just 2 weeks ago, the day before his 40th birthday, I was running some errands after work. While running errands, I ran into him leaving a bar. I was giving someone a gift card. 15 minutes before I saw him, he sent me a text that he was leaving work and going to get some dinner, then grab his child. This obviously confused me, but it was not something I even considered breaking up with him for. The weirdest part was, after I saw him, he was clearly feeling guilty. He was texting me more than usual and shared his location. I told him all this made me feel even more skeptical, so we decided to meet in person later that evening to discuss. Long story short, he confessed that when I saw him earlier, he was at the bar grabbing a beer and buying drugs. To be honest, I knew he did this drug occasionally, but for some reason, this shocked me. I was immediately confused, heartbroken, and felt betrayed. He's now begging for my forgiveness and is hopeful I will take him back. I'm so torn on what to do. Any advice is greatly appreciated.
This is an awkward one.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the action, then there's the lying about the action.
Right. To me, the cover up seems worse than the crime, especially if she knows this is something he's like done before, maybe recreationally on occasion. I don't know what the drug was. I don't know if it makes a difference if it was like weed versus like cocaine or something like that.
Right.
I don't know that it makes a difference. I think the lying is the worst part. It's like the kind of like shadiness of it.
Yeah.
When it seems like she might have been understanding of the action.
It sounded like she was almost going to let it go and not care until he started like digging in and sharing his location and like apologizing and like, texting her a lot. And then she was like, now I'm concerned when like major issue. Someone blatantly lying, then getting caught in a lie about their whereabouts, unless he's going to the bar to buy you a diamond ring and engage and propose to you. I don't know what other lie like that I would overlook. Like that's a problem. If he says he's going to go get dinner and pick up his child, and then he's,
at a bar buying
at a bar.
drugs. Right. It's interesting because, I mean, I think the length of time of the relationship is not that it's okay in any circumstance, but I think the length of time of the relationship is interesting.
Right.
Where they're 6 months in. Sounds like she hasn't really met the kid yet. They're like, they're sort of in this, like, I know like the best version of you that you're putting forward. I don't know if I know like the real you.
Yeah, I think this is, if you really want this relationship and you think this could be like your person or a long-term thing, if that's what you're looking for, this is a turning point. This is the point where you say, we need to lay all the cards on the table. What is your relationship with this drug?
Right.
Why did you not feel like you could tell me? What it also sounds like is neither one of them were going to really dig in. Like they were almost going to both let it go until she was like, you're weirding me out by sharing your location and like texting me. Like now I'm feeling worse. And then he's like, okay, let's talk.
I could see you maybe coming to some in your mind, like he's at he stopped in to say hello to a friend or something like that. Like I could see why you might not be jump to be like, he's doing something super shady.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. Yeah. Maybe a friend texted him, said, I'm here. He's walking by. He walks in.
Right. Like, and I could see why, again, 6 months in, you'd want to be like, well, why are you here? Like you said you were there and like you're, stop like micromanaging his every move. Not that would be crazy. Like, I'm just saying, I could see seeing him. He says he's going to grab dinner. He's at a bar. I could see where he might say, oh, I was picking up. Maybe he thought about picking up dinner from this bar and then decided not. I don't know. Like it doesn't seem so. I could see a scenario where she'd kind of just drop that as like being a little weird. If it were the only thing that was weird.
All right. I'm convinced. I get it. 6 months. You don't want to be like, Gestapo about his whereabouts.
Right. Where he's like, someone, he called me on the way, that my friend at the bar called me on the way and I grabbed a drink with him after I text, whatever. I don't know.
That's not what happened.
Whatever.
I see how she might not want to bring it up. Okay. Now, I think this just needs to be the point in the relationship where you're like, I need like total honesty about what this is. And I don't know. I'm assuming this is probably cocaine. I had to guess.
I would guess that too.
Right. If that's what you're doing, you need to understand like his relationship with that. Some people are like, have a relationship with that where it's like, if someone has it, I'll do it. Right. And some people have a relationship, which he obviously does, where he's like, I have my own supply of this. And like, I get it this often. And this is how often I do it. And,
or maybe he's having she said it's the day before his 40th birthday. Maybe there's like a special occasion that he's looking to do.
Right.
Whatever. Whether that's okay or not okay is like, I think very subjective and like not necessarily black or white. But the lying, I think, makes it more black and white. Of like, if you like the people who are like have a problem are usually the ones who are lying about it.
If it really was what she thinks it is, he would have just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. So yeah, I think that they just need to have an honest conversation about what that is. And she knew he did it. So what is so shocking about it? If you knew he did it, where do you think he was getting it from? Like,
right, well, maybe she didn't know he did it at that much to be buying.
Right. I think that's the conversation. And I don't think you need to end it if you feel like, one, you're okay with what he's doing and it doesn't bother you. Two, if you're recommitted now to full transparency, which again, this like owning up in a couple relationships where someone can say, this is my insecurity. This is this thing that I feel shameful about. I felt shameful about that. Now I'm telling you. And if she sticks around and she still loves him anyway, and she's like, okay, I just want to know the truth about it. I think they'll be so much stronger as a couple than if she's like, gets mad. They have kind of this awkward tension for a little while. Then finally they just like shove it under the rug and move on. That's like the worst thing I think you can do in this scenario. So I think if you really love him and you really see this going somewhere, I think you have to just say, hey, I'm here. Do you have a problem? Like, how can I help you? Do you want to do it less? How does it like, I think she needs to understand what his relationship is with this drug and see if together they want to work through it. Even if he's totally okay with however much he's doing it. And she says, okay, I'm okay with that too. I'm glad we talked about it. Just, you know what? Let me know when you're going to do something like this. Like, I just don't want to be lied to about it. Whatever their arrangement is that they make, I think this is the crossroads where they realize that, like, I want to see all of you 6 months in. I want to see the full picture. And I think I'm at the point where, like, most of what I see, I'll be okay with, because I'm kind of okay with this if she is. And that'll make him feel a lot more secure that he can be his full self.
And I would stress it's really like the lying is like the major thing. And that if that were to happen again, that's really the big potential deal breaker. I mean, maybe it is the drug. If it might be the drugs, but if it's not, then it's like the lying, which is like universally, if that's how he deals with things that he's doing that he knows are not your favorite thing or that you might not like, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. And it also feels like 6 months in, I want to know what I'm getting myself into. So when not lying obviously is wrong because it's lying and I can't trust you, but it's also like you're hiding parts of yourself. And now I'm falling more in love with you, or I'm like leaning into this relationship, or I'm thinking this is going to turn into maybe something more long-term, but you're hiding who you really are. And that feels kind of unfair as we're figuring out what we want to do with this relationship.
Good luck. Let us know if you have that conversation. Would love to hear how it goes.
Definitely. Please have the conversation. Let us know. I have a feeling if you do it well and you lean in and you open up for him to be vulnerable and shed his shame around this, I think you'll come out a lot closer as a result, if you do end up being okay with his relationship with this drug, which is your call.